Hare Krishna. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Glories to the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And glories to the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association that assemble here online 3 days a week for transcendental association through hearing and chanting. This is Prabhupada. I just saw a recent article where Prabhupada was saying, those people that discuss the pastimes of Krishna with others, that is also kirtan. So this is a kirtan glorification of Krishna that's resounding around the world. And from your particular location, whether it be in Las Vegas or Australia or Hawaii or Canada or the United States, you're all part of this global effort to protect the legacy of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. This is the business of the Prabhupada disciple. Because we are interested in truth, and that truth is contained in Prabhupada's unadulterated, unedited books. Be clear on that. And also in his instructions on how to manage his movement after his departure. That's called protection, Balaram, of legacy. The legacy of the pure devotee. We are entrusted, all of us here. Prabhupada said, my disciples will carry my legacy. Very significant statement by His Divine Grace to motivate all of us as disciples of His Divine Grace. I saw a recent post. Of course, we're looking at social media and catching the wind of what goes on in that small world. It's not a significant thing, but it's something. Anyway, someone was asking a question, who do you accept in your group? And the person's answer was, we accept everyone. We accept the people from the Gaudiya Math. We accept the people from ISKCON. We accept the Ritviks. I thought, I guess he's left us out. We're not Ritviks. We're Prabhupada disciples. If you look at our logo that was so beautifully designed by Vinkat Bhatta Prabhu, it's Prabhupada Disciples Association with Prabhupada in the middle. We were initiated or are initiated as disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and we're following the principles that he expounded in his unadulterated books, in his tapes, in his letters, in all of his direction for all of us to make rapid advancement in spiritual life and go back to Godhead, hopefully in this lifetime. It's funny, everyone, when I see people that automatically assume, oh, well, I was chanting, I become this so-called spiritual personality. I'm going to go back to Godhead at the end of life. Oh, yeah. Well, I hope you do. But if you read thoroughly, as Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu is directing us in these wonderful readings and discussions, if you understand this process, it is very, very sophisticated. And it takes a lot of surrender to move up to the higher platforms of unalloyed, pure devotional service. To think that you're automatically going back to Godhead in this lifetime because you wear kanti mala or you put tilak on or you might chant or might not chant or pretend you chant. It's a little bit more than that. And so it is our hope with this group and these classes that we're studying together, Balaram, the readings and discussions, we get to realize how truly significant thorough study of these books is, and how important it is if you really want to understand who you are in this material world and how much advancement you're making according to your understanding. Many are called, few are chosen. Samahatma Sadurlabaha. Look at, think about it. Prabhupada left India. We're over 1 billion people in India. And why did Prabhupada leave and come to America? Because these people in India thought they knew everything. Oh, I know everything. I know this, I know that. He came where there was some people that were interested in learning. And thus he arrived in New York in 1965, September 19th. We're moving to that date. And this week is a very exciting week for all of us, eh, Balaram? Because tomorrow is the Janmashtami festival. And then it's so exciting. It's like the whole atmosphere is surcharged with everybody talking about this in the people that I'm communicating with. And I know you're feeling the same. They're really excited about this Janmashtami festival, the birth of Lord Krishna. And we'll be celebrating it tomorrow with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu and Bhakta Ronald Singh, who's organized an amazing festival in Sacramento. Thank you, Ron Singh, by the way. Bhakta Ron Singh. And on Friday, we've got the Vyas Puja celebration of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And thank you all for your submissions to the Vyasa Puja book. This was a tremendous victory for our association. Thank you, everyone. And we got to carry on with this enthusiasm moving forward into the new year. This is like a new year for us. So we keep building our momentum with transcendental knowledge. So we're on program now, Wednesday night, Thursday evening. Tomorrow we'll be Zooming the program so you can join, and the invitations will be coming out. And then on Friday, we'll be Zooming the program. On Saturday morning, we've got the Bhagavad Gita class. On Sunday morning, we've got the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So there's 5 days of nectar for all of us, chanting our rounds and attending these spiritual programs in association with like-minded devotees. Yes, like-minded devotees. This is the bliss of Krishna consciousness. And we're going to move forward with the reading from these pastimes of Prabhupada in his early days, which are so significant in our training as devotees. We must learn about this so that we understand the greatness of Srila Prabhupada. Look at that picture. Look at that picture. Come on. Tell me there isn't somebody there that's profoundly, transcendentally positioned to enlighten all of us to go back to Godhead. And we're going to go forward with the epilogue on the next page. I hope our Prabhu Vinkat Bhatta, yes, he's such a master that helps us. Thank you, Vinkat Bhatta. And that thank you comes from all of us in this group, that you're bringing this, helping us bring this forward. Srila Prabhupada lived at 26th 2nd Avenue from July 1996 to January 1967. During that time, he transformed the storefront into the first Krishna conscious temple in the West, attracted a number of young followers, incorporated the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and initiated 19 students from these modest beginnings the Hare Krishna movement spread throughout the world. One of Srila Prabhupada's first initiates in New York, Mukunda Das, went to San Francisco. In early 1967, he invited Srila Prabhupada to bring the message of Krishna consciousness to the throngs of young people gathering in the Haight-Ashbury district. Mukunda Das had located the New York storefront at the 26th 2nd Avenue for Srila Prabhupada, and now he wrote that he and several others had rented a storefront on Frederick Street in the Haight-Ashbury and were converting it into a temple. Because Srila Prabhupada had come to the West on the order of his spiritual master to preach the Bhakti Yoga, devotion to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was prepared to go wherever Krishna led him. So look how quickly he was expanding. The Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, the official at the time when we were in the movement, biography of Srila Prabhupada, I don't know how official it is, accounts his departure from 26th 2nd Avenue on January 17th. Prabhupada looked at his watch. He put on this tweed winter coat and his hat and his shoes and put his right hand in his bead bag and continued chanting. He walked out of the apartment down the stairs throughout the courtyard, which was now frozen, and still its trees starkly bare without a single leaf remaining. And he left the storefront behind. Although Srila Prabhupada returned several months later, 26th 2nd Avenue was no longer his main residence. In Srila Prabhupada's absence, his New York followers maintained his programs, holding Srimad Bhagavatam classes every morning and Bhagavad Gita classes 3 times a week. The transcendental sound of chanting continued to attract young people, just as Srila Prabhupada said it would. By 1968, the storefront at 26 2nd Avenue could no longer accommodate the growing number of devotees who had joined. The landlord, Mr. Chute, had respected Srila Prabhupada and had tolerated the rousing kirtans and the comings and goings of young people while Srila Prabhupada was present, but without Prabhupada's presence to smooth out relationships. Mr. Chute became less cooperative. When the lease expired, Mr. Chute abruptly raised the rent. The devotees began searching for a new location. After several months, they found a place some blocks north at 61 2nd Avenue. In December, Srila Prabhupada wrote Brahmananda Das, the temple president, from Los Angeles. We tried so hard to find a new temple, but Krishna did not approve, so there was no temple. But now, Krishna wills it. With simply a flick of the eye, a temple has come to us better than we were hoping for. The new facility was large enough to be 15 to 20 devotees to live there, besides providing ample space for temple programs. So we'll end the reading tonight, and we'll move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari by the founder, His Divine Grace. And then we'll have the reading and discussion from California with His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I do offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya, Narayanam namaskritya, Naram cheva narottamam, Naram cheva narottamam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Tato jayam udirayat. tato jayam mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam or Caitanya-caritāmṛta, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. I don't know exactly what time it is in Australia, but it may already be Janmashtami over there. Is that correct, Balaram Prabhu?
Yes, it's now 10, coming on to 10:30 a.m. So we're approaching noon Gayatri very soon, in an hour's time.
Well, very nice, very auspicious.
We're 4 hours ahead of India, so that's how the time. And in India now, it would be around about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Very auspicious. You're ahead of us. That's very nice, very nice. So as every time that we read Caitanya-caritāmṛta, we read a few verses from chapter 1 of the Adi Lila to remind ourselves of the great transcendental benefit of hearing Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. We are reading from Adi Lila chapter 1, text 18 through 22. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Caitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text 19. Etina Thakur Gaudiya ki karya chenoyatmasat, etinera charana vandana tire morenat. These 3 deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Text 20. Grantera Rambikari Mangala Charana, Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Text 21. Tinera smarane vigna vinashana, anayase nijavanchita purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Text 22. Se mangala charanai trivida prakar, vastu nirdesa shirvada namaskara. The invocation involved 3 processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Today we'll be reading a few verses from Adi Lila, chapter 4, text 35 through 39. Page 252. Bhavet kriya vidiling se hiyakai, kartavya avashya e anyata parivyavai. Bhavet, kriya, the verb, vidiling, an injunction of the imperative mood. Se, that, iha, here, kaya, says, kartavya, to be done, avashya, certainly, e, this, anyata, otherwise, pratyavaya, detriment. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Incidentally, all translations, synonyms, and purports, all by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Translation: here the use of the word bhavet, which is in the imperative mood, tells us that this certainly must be done. Non-compliance would be abandonment of duty. Purport: this imperative is applicable to pure devotees. Neophytes will be able to understand these affairs only after being elevated by regulated devotional service under the expert guidance of the spiritual master. Then they too will be competent to hear of the love affairs of Radha and Krishna. As long as one is in the material conditional life, strict discipline is required in the matter of moral and immoral activities. The absolute world is transcendental and free from such distinctions, because there is inebriety inebriety is not possible. But in this material world, a sexual appetite necessitates distinction between moral and immoral conduct. There are no sexual activities in the spiritual world. Just 1 second here. Okay. The transactions between lover and beloved in the spiritual world are pure transcendental love and unadulterated bliss. One who has not been attracted by the transcendental beauty of rasa will certainly be dragged down into material attraction, thus to act in material contamination and progress to the darkest region of hellish life. But by understanding the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, one is freed from the grip of attraction to material, so-called love between men and women. Similarly, if one understands the pure parental love of Nanda and Yashoda for Krishna, he will be saved from being dragged into material parental affection. If one accepts Krishna as the supreme friend, the attraction of material friendship will be finished for him, and he will not be dismayed by so-called friendship with mundane wranglers. If he is attracted by servitorship to Krishna, he will no longer have to serve the material body in the degraded status of material existence, with the false hope of becoming master in the future. Similarly, one who sees the greatest of Krishna in neutrality will certainly never again seek the so-called relief of impersonalist or voidist philosophy. If one is not attracted by the transcendental nature of Krishna, one is sure to be attracted to material enjoyment, thus to become implicated in the clinging network of virtuous and sinful activities, and continue material existence by transmigrating from one material body to another. Only in Krishna consciousness can one achieve the highest perfection of life. Text 36-37. Evan choyoichi Krishna prakatya karan, asura samhara anusanga prayojan, emata chaitanya Krishna purna bhagavan, yuga dharma pravartan nahetandra kama. This vancha, desire, yaiche, just as Krishna of Lord Krishna, prakatya, for the manifestation, karana, reason, asura samhara, the killing of demons, anusanga, secondary, prayojana, reason, emata, like this, Chaitanya, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Purna, full, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yuga Dharma, the religion of the age, Pravartana, initiating, Nahe is not, Tanha, of him, Kama, the desire. Translation. Just as these desires are the fundamental reason for Krishna's appearance, whereas destroying the demons is only an incidental necessity, so for Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, promulgating the Dharma of this age is incidental. Text 38. Kona karane yabe haile avatare mana, yuga dharma kala oela se kali milana. Kona karane, by some reason, yabe, when, oela, there was, avatari, in incarnation, mana, inclination, yuga dharma, for the religion of the age, kala, the time, oela, there was, sekale, at that time, milana, conjunction. When the Lord desired to appear for another reason, the time for promulgating the religion of the age also arose. Text 39. Dui tu avatari lana bhaktagan, apani asvadi premanama samkirtana. Dui two. Two reasons. Avatari, incarnating. Lana, taking. Bhaktagana, the devotees. Apane, himself. Asvade, taste. Prema, love of God. Nama samkirtana, and congregational chanting of the holy name. Translation. Thus, with two intentions, the Lord appeared with his devotees and tasted the nectar of prema with the congregational chanting of the holy name. Text 40. Desidvarya chandale kirtan sanchari, nama prema malaganti paraila samsari. Siddhvari, by that. Achandali, even amongst the Chandalas. Kirtana, the chanting of the holy name. Sanchari, he infused. Nama, of the holy names. Prema, and of love of God. Mala, a garland. Ganti, stringing together. Paraela, he put it on. Samsari, the whole material world. Translation. Thus he spread kirtan even amongst the untouchables. He wove a wreath of the holy name and prema, with which he garlanded the entire material world. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has opened our eyes from the darkness of ignorance with a torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Namaum Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshatah Adadana Strinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Ghoratvishe Namaham Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Shri Rup Shri Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So these are very important sections of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. This particular chapter is very important, and the question may be raised, well, why is it so important? Because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is describing two major things in this chapter. The external the reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the internal reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is well known that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he is Lord Krishna, in the form of a devotee. This is very important to understand right from the beginning, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the combined incarnation of Radha and Krishna, who has come to this world to spread the Sankirtana movement. Kali Yuge Yuga Dharma Namer Prachar Tate Lagi Pita Varna Chaitanya Avatar. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in Kali Yuga to spread the Yuga Dharma, the religion for the age. Well, what religion is that? And Krishnadas Kaviraj explains very nicely in that sloka, Kali Yuge Yuga Namer Prachar, the preaching of the glories of the name of Krishna. Tate Lagi Pita Varna Chaitanya Avatar, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in golden color, yellow color. Sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described as a Channa avatar, as a concealed incarnation. Various members of other sampradayas occasionally object to the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, by saying that in the age of Kali Yuga, Krishna is known as Triyuga in the Vishnu Sahasranam. In the Mahabharata, in the Vishnu Sahasranam, one of Krishna's name is called Triyuga. He only comes in 3 yugas. He does not come directly in Kali Yuga. But in the same Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 7th canto, in the prayers by Prahlad Maharaj, it is described, Channakalo Yarabhavas Triyugo Atasatvam, that in this age, Channakalo, he incarnates in a concealed incarnation. And that is the incarnation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, Krishnadas Kaviraj describes nicely 2 basic purposes, external purposes, of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, to spread the Sankirtan movement, and 2, to fulfill the prayer of Advaita-Ācārya. We have all read many times Srila Prabhupada explaining that Advaita-Ācārya was worshiping Krishna, worshiping the Shaligram on the bank of the Ganges in Shantipur, Bengal, praying for the appearance of Lord Krishna in this age so that he could deliver the suffering of the people. And that incarnation was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, there are also some esoteric reasons, 3 basic esoteric reasons why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, although it is not directly described in these few verses that we've read. Later on in this chapter, there are many descriptions of these sentiments of Lord Krishna with Radharani, Srimati Radharani, how Lord Krishna wanted to understand, wanted to experience the exalted position of Srimati Radharani's love for him. That is also one of the reasons why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. If we carefully study the beginning of chapter 1, the first 22 verses, Krishnadas Kaviraj just summarized why the appearance of Lord Chaitanya has come. We see the incarnation of Krishna and Balarama in text number 2 as Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. It is described they have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sahodito Gaudodaye Pushpavanto Chitro Shamdo Tamonudo. Shamdo means bestowing benediction. Tamanudo means dissipating the darkness. The Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is meant to give benedictions to all living entities, especially human beings, and to dissipate the darkness of the age. That is the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Then in text number 3 of Adi Lila chapter 1, Krishnadas Kaviraj goes on and describes what is the position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's a very nice detailed description. Then text number 4, 5, and 6, he goes into further detail about the reasons, the esoteric reason why Lord Chaitanya has come. In text number 4, it is described, may that Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Shachidevi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. He has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow taste of his service. Text number 5, the loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Radha Krishna Pranay Vikritir Alladini Shaktirasmad. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. Ekatmana vapibhuvi poradeya bhedam gatauto. I suggest to all the devotees on this call at some point, when you have the time, go through every one of these texts, number 5 and 6 of Adilila chapter 1, and read every word in the translation Prabhupada gives, because it gives us a very nice insight into the real reasons of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And our great acharyas, like Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, how they have explained this appearance. So Kaviraj Goswami goes on, now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. This is the third line in the Sanskrit verse, Chaitanya-kyam prakatamaduna tadvayam chekyam aptam. Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam Nami Krishna Swarupam. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Nami Krishna Swarupam. I offer my obeisances to him who is identical with Sri Krishna. There's a lot of very nice, very deep and devotional sentiments described by Krishnadas Kaviraj. In text number 6, he goes on, desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appears from the womb of Srimati Sachi Devi as the moon appears from the ocean. Now these text number 1 through text 22, this is called the Mangala Acharana of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, where Krishnadas Kaviraj is setting out the basic fundamental basic fundamental points of the entire Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And what we are seeing in chapter 4, he's starting to deal, leading us gradually. First, he analyzes the external reasons for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, his divine appearance. And then he's going on to describe the internal reasons, just like he described in text number 6 of chapter 1. Now, again, if we study each and every word that Prabhupada has given, there's so many very deep meanings here, very deep meanings. And mental speculators, logicians, people that are interested in mundane reasoning, or professional scholars, those who are not devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is very difficult to understand. Very difficult to understand these esoteric, very deep teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as given by Krishnadas Kaviraj. Prabhupada nicely explains this point in text number 35 in the last paragraph. Srila Prabhupada says, if one is not attracted by the transcendental nature of Krishna, one is sure to be attracted to material enjoyment, thus to become implicated in the clinging network of virtuous and sinful activities and continue material existence by transmigrating from one material body to another. Only in Krishna consciousness can one achieve the highest perfection of life. There was an interesting conversation with Srila Prabhupada where one disciple of Srila Prabhupada, a prominent sannyasi, asked Srila Prabhupada about an incident in French history where Marie Antoinette told people that the people have no bread to eat. And the queen replied, well, let them eat cake. And Prabhupada's reply was, what does this have to do with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement? These are mundane examples. We don't mean to be insensitive. We don't mean to be derogative or critical of the suffering of anyone. But we see that Srila Prabhupada is always giving the solution to the problems in this world. Go back to the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many nice verses which have been composed by a great follower of Lord Chaitanya named Prabodhananda Saraswati. And in one of these verses, He Sadhava Sakalami Vahadurat Gauranga Chanda Charane Kuruta Anuragaha. Oh, he addresses everyone. Oh, great saintly persons. Forget everything you've learned. Simply take shelter at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, praising everybody as great, great saintly persons, very pious persons, and begging them to take shelter at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, there's an important point in the writings of these Goswamis. There's a lot of gems and pearls and very valuable jewels, just like in the beginning of our classes or readings here. Because several devotees have asked me, well, why don't you explain some of these verses? We know Namam Vishnu Padaya, Namaste Saraswati Devi. And then there's one of these verses that was written by Raghunath Das Goswami. I think we've discussed this before a few times, but this is coming up on Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja. So this is very much the same mood that Prabodhananda Saraswati was describing. And this verse that was compiled by Raghunath Das Goswami, he describes Adadana Strinam Danter idam yache punaha punaha, that I take a piece of grass between my teeth and bow down again and again at the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami. Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani, that I simply pray that I may become a piece of dust at the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami birth after birth. Now, this is a very, very deep sentiment. We can't artificially imitate that. We can praise, we can recite it, and we can pray to Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya that someday we may become absorbed, that we may fully understand the meaning of these very deep teaching. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, it is described, Naham vipro nachanara patir napi vaishuna shudro, Naham varni nachagriya patir navastu yatirva, that I'm not a brahmachari, a grihasta, a vanaprastha, or a sannyas. What are you then? Naham vipro nachanara patir. You're not any of varnas, you're not any of the ashramas, then what is your position? Kintu prodyan nikhila paramaнаnder gopi bartuhu padakamalayur dasa dasa dasanudasa. That I simply, birth after birth, I simply wish to become a servant of these exalted personalities, the gopis. This is the same point that has been described by one of our previous acharyas, Srinath Chakrabarti. He was the first commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. He compiled a commentary called Caitanya-Manjusha. And in the beginning of that book, he summarizes the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is where that famous line, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam, this is where it comes from. That famous line that Prabhupada used to often quote, Prema Pumartha Mohan, the highest perfection of life is to develop prema, or full love for Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam, that in this devotee says, in my opinion, there is no higher personality than Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We see in the beginning of this book, in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Prabhupada summarizes that Sanskrit verse in very nice, eloquent English. This is on preface, the first page of the preface, the third paragraph. Prabhupada explains, Lord Chaitanya, therefore, teaches direct worship of Lord Krishna, who appeared as the foster child of the king of Vraja. He also suggests that the place known as Vrindavana is as good as Lord Krishna, because there is no difference between the name, quality, form, pastimes, entourage, and paraphernalia of Lord Krishna and Lord Krishna himself. That is the absolute nature of the absolute truth. Srila Prabhupada goes on, Lord Chaitanya also recommended that the highest mode of worship in the highest perfectional stage is the method practiced by the damsels of Vraja. These damsels, gopis or coward girls, simply love Krishna without a motive for material or spiritual gain. Chaitanya also recommended Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless narration of transcendental knowledge. And he pointed out that the highest goal in human life is to develop unalloyed love for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a very important point, because we see that there's many different kinds of ideologies, different kinds of interpretations, different kinds of ideas of following the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which have surfaced in the last 46 years since Srila Prabhupada departed. Of course, our position, he is always present with us in his books, in his teachings, in his instructions, in his murti, in his picture, and with those followers who simply try to emphasize and promote him. He's always present. But it's important to note that we have to learn to distinguish, very carefully distinguish, between what is following Srila Prabhupada and what is not following Srila Prabhupada. In the last few weeks, in the last month or two, we have seen different persons coming on to this class and discussion, trying to present certain ideas which are not in line with the teachings and presentation of Srila Prabhupada, claiming that people that they have a special understanding of the path of bhakti according to some Babaji class or some so-called other Gaudiya Neomat advisors. We follow Srila Prabhupada. He is the foremost authority and the current Acharya in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Anyone can take shelter of him, becoming his student, his follower, and his disciple, following the discipline and teachings he has given. Recently, I had an experience with somebody who says, "Oh, I'd like to debate." I said, "Well, you have a little problem before you can start. Which set of books are you going to debate with? You can't have two different standards. You want to debate, that's nice, it's good, it's a good spiritual practice. But which set of books are you going to have? The adulterated, non-authorized books, where it says that they have seen the truth, with all kinds of non-authorized introductions, non-authorized concoctions under the plea of grammatical embellishment? That is not allowed. If somebody wants to understand the truth, the first point, he has to submissively hear from the Acharya without change, without personal motivation, without concoction, without personal attacks against other devotees. Simply study and hear the Acharya submissively, then everything can be revealed. Just today I was sent a newsletter by a very nice devotee who is a good friend of Vishwakarma Prabhu, where they were claiming that they are promoting Prabhupada this and that. I'm reading through that, and I'm seeing some very nice sentiments, very nice points, very nice sentiments. One of the problem is that persistent misconception about Diksha Guru appointment is still pervading. Some people 46 years later cannot get it out of their system. They can't. It's like some kind of a poison that has entered the followers of Srila Prabhupada, some of the followers, and after so many discussions, so many papers written, so many so-called debates, they still do not get it. That you do not become an Acharya by appointment or by vote or by election. This is all concoction, misinterpretation. Why? Two major reasons. The first point is the LJEP, the Living Guru Experimental Project, which functions on three basic points. The three P's: posing, posturing, and pretending. This is not our philosophy. And the next one is the pod problem. Profit, adoration, and distinction. That has infiltrated so many of Prabhupada's followers, especially senior followers, people who should have known better. And the result has been disastrous on so many levels. But it's never too late. One can also recover in a moment. Just like there was one conversation where Madhavisa Swami in Australia was asking Srila Prabhupada, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? Can one do it in this lifetime? And Prabhupada said, his reply, immediate reply was, you can do it in 1 minute. It's a matter of surrender. To say, we see when we analyze how Raghunath Das Goswami, who is one of the highest acharyas in our sampradaya, how he's expressing himself. When we analyze the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gopi Bhartuhu Padakamalayar Dasa Dasa Anudasa. Although he's the highest devotee, the best example of being a devotee, he's not arrogant. He's not thinking, I'm a senior devotee, I'm a big devotee, I know this, I know that. No, he's expressing himself, I'm simply the servant of the servant of the servant. You study that song by Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Gopinath, exact same sentiment is given there. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta is expressing that if somebody hears his names, he will lose all his pious activities. If somebody repeats his name, he will commit sinful activities. I'm paraphrasing. So much humility. None of these acharyas are thinking that they are big devotees or so-called senior devotees. That's all nonsense. We'll leave it at that for now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. And the fact of the matter is that love of Godhead is a very difficult. It can be simple for the simple, Prabhupada said, but it can also be difficult for the crooked. That you can become Krishna conscious in a moment, where it may take millions of lifetimes and millions of rebirth. And recently on this trip that I made across country here, I realized, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, there are trillions of living entities just alone on this planet. What to speak of trillions of planets with trillions and trillions of different species and spirit souls. So this is not a how can I say, something that should be taken lightly. This should not be taken lightly, the opportunity that we have. And the best way to take advantage of it is, like you said, to don't minimize the teachings of our spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and how he explains to us the process of devotional service to elevate us out of the material state. I wanted us to go, Vinkat Bhatta Prabhu, to the text that I mentioned. I believe it was text number 9. If by good fortune a living entity develops faith in Krishna, he begins to associate with devotees. So here the process of devotional service is being explained by Lord Chaitanya in Life's Ultimate Goal, in the Madhya Lila section of this book, volume 9, chapter 23, text 9. Vinkat Bhatta, could you read text 10 for us, please? I hope you're there, you're able to.
Yeah, text 10. When one is encouraged in devotional service by the association of devotees, one becomes free from all unwanted contamination by following the regulative principles and chanting and hearing.
Yeah. Now I want to just quickly comment here. Sometimes people get angry with us. For example, in the past, some people have said, "You're running a boot camp." I asked them why. Well, you're telling us to chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds a day minimum. Excuse me, I didn't make that rule up, my friend. That's Prabhupada's rule. If we're repeating the rule for your benefit, that's something you have to see as a transcendental opportunity. So it's through association that you get encouragement. It's very serious when people start to fault find and criticize the devotees of the Lord who have dedicated their lives to propagating this mission. And if they're saying to others, please read the original books, please chant your rounds, please follow the regulated principles, and if people start pointing their finger at us, please don't be affected, every one of you, by that, because it's not up to us. We have to simply present the truth and let Krishna, he is responsible for the result. Carry on. Read the next verse, brother.
Okay. Text 11.
Yeah.
When one is freed from all unwanted contamination, he advances with firm faith. When firm faith in devotional service awakens, a taste for hearing and chanting also awakens.
Exactly. That's why we have the classes. Text 12, please.
After taste is awakened, a deep attachment arises, and from that attachment, the seed of love for Krishna grows in the heart.
The seed, it starts to grow, everyone. This is an automatic. This is a process. It's a science. This is what these Prabhupada's teaching us. Text 13, Vinkat Bhatta, please.
When that ecstatic emotional stage intensifies, it is called love of Godhead. Such love is life's ultimate goal and the reservoir of all pleasure.
Okay. We're going to have Vinkat Bhatta read this purport. This purport is very important to hear because it does explain the process of devotional service and how we should properly follow it. Go ahead, please. Vinkat Bhatta, purport.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur summarizes this growth of love of Godhead as a gradual process. A person becomes interested in devotional service by some good fortune. Eventually, he becomes interested in pure devotional service without material contamination. At that point, a person wants to associate with devotees. As a result of this association, he becomes more and more interested in discharging devotional service and hearing and chanting. The more one is interested in hearing and chanting, the more he is purified of material contamination. Liberation from material contamination is called anartha nivriti, indicating a diminishing of all unwanted things. This is the test of development in devotional service. If one actually develops the devotional attitude, he must be freed from the material contamination of illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. These are the preliminary symptoms. When one is freed from all material contamination, his firm faith awakens in devotional service. When firm faith develops, a taste arises, and by that taste, one becomes attached to devotional service. When this attachment intensifies, the seed of love of Krishna fructifies. This position is called priti or rati, affection, or bhava, emotion. When rati intensifies, it is called love of Godhead. This love of God is actually life's highest perfection and the reservoir of all pleasure. Thus, devotional life is divided into two stages, sadhana bhakti and bhava bhakti. Sadhana bhakti refers to the development of devotional service through the regulative principles. The basic principle for the execution of devotional service is faith. Above that, there is association of devotees, and after that, there is initiation by a bona fide spiritual master. After initiation, when one follows the regulative principles of devotional service, one becomes freed from all unwanted things. In this way, one becomes firmly fixed and gradually develops a taste for devotional service. The more the taste grows, the more one desires to render service to the Lord. In this way, one becomes attached to a particular mellow in the Lord's service, Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhura. As a result of such attachment, bhava develops. Bhava bhakti is the platform of purified goodness. By such purified goodness, one's heart melts in devotional service. Bhava bhakti is the first seed of love of Godhead. This emotional stage is there before one attains pure love. When that emotional stage intensifies, it is called prema bhakti, or transcendental love of Godhead. This gradual process is also described in the following two verses found in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1:4, 15, and 16.
I think that's fairly clear to all of us. And Prabhupada summarizes it at the end. Gradual process. Work at it every day without fail. Keep working at this process. Attend our classes. Chant your rounds. Offer your food. Study the books. There's lots to do for our members. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please.
Very important discussion, very important. I want to touch back upon this point about the reasons, the confidential reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are three main ones. Now, in the chapter that we're reading here, this Adi Lila chapter 4, Later on in the chapter, Krishna Das Kaviraj goes to a very detailed description of these three purposes. The first purpose was to relish the position of Srimati Radharani. The second reason for Lord Chaitanya's appearance was to understand the transcendental mellow of himself. And the third reason that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared was to enjoy the bliss that is stated by Srimati Radharani. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to read a few of the English translations from Caitanya-caritāmṛta, starting from Adi-lila, chapter 4, text 238. Adi-lila, chapter 4, text 238. Once Lord Krishna considered within his heart, everyone says that I'm complete bliss, full of all rasas. Text 239. All the world derives pleasure from me. Is there anyone who can give me pleasure? Adi-lila, chapter 4, text 240. One who has 100 times more qualities than me could give pleasure to my mind. Adi-lila, chapter 4, text 241. One more qualified than me is impossible to find in the world, but in Radha alone I feel the presence of one who can give me pleasure. Text 242, 243. Although my beauty defeats the beauty of 10 million cupids, although it is unequaled and unsurpassed, and although it gives pleasure to the three worlds, seeing Radharani gives pleasure to my eyes. Adi-lila, chapter 4, text 244. The vibration of my transcendental flute attracts the three worlds, but my ears are enchanted by the sweet words of Srimati Radharani. Text 248. Thus, although I am the source of happiness for the entire world, the beauty and attributes of Sri Radhika are my life and soul. Chapter 249. In this way, my affectionate feeling for Srimati Radharani may be understood, but on analysis, I find them contradictory. Text 250. My eyes are fully satisfied when I look upon Srimati Radharani, but by looking upon me, she becomes even more advanced in satisfaction. Text 262, jumping here a little bit. I am always eager to taste the joy that Radharani derives from me. Text 263. In spite of various efforts, I have not been able to taste it, but my desire to relish that pleasure increases as I smell its sweetness. Text 264. Formerly I appeared in the world to taste mellows, and I tasted the mellows of pure love in various ways. Text 265. I taught devotional service that springs from the devotee's spontaneous love by demonstrating it with my pastimes. Text 266. But these three desires of mine were not satisfied, for one cannot enjoy them in a contrary position. Text 267. Unless I accept the luster of the ecstatic love of Sri Radhika, these three desires cannot be fulfilled. Text 268. Therefore, assuming Radharani's sentiments and bodily complexion, I shall descend to fulfill these three desires. 269. In this way, Lord Krishna came to a decision. Simultaneously, the time came for the incarnation of the age. So somebody may also bring the point, well, why are these things being disclosed in public? In text number 231, Krishna Das Kaviraj says, all these conclusions are unfit to disclose in public, but if they are not disclosed, no one will understand them. Text 232, therefore I shall mention them revealing only their essence so that loving devotees will understand then, but fools will not. And this is a very important point. I've often told the story that when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur went to his father, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, and requested him that I want to print a copy of Govinda Lilamrita, which is a book which has been written by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami that describes the confidential pastimes of Radha Krishna throughout the day. It's a very, very highly elevated book. Bhaktivedant's reply says, yes, you can print one copy only. In other words, this is not meant for public distribution. It is mentioned in the Shastra, but unless one follows the proper process, just like Vishwakarma Prabhu was reading from Prabhupada's purport, there is a systematic, proper process of reaching that level. Now, none of us are claiming to be on this highly elevated level, but what we can do is read and hear from Srila Prabhupada how to understand this level, how to understand the process, not try to jump like some monkey to some so-called advisors to short-circuit the process. That will not be helpful. Prabhupada complained one time, if devotees continue with this artificial attempt, with this gopi bhav, then the preaching will stop. On one hand, it's very enlivening, very sweet to hear these topics as we see from Caitanya-caritāmṛta. On the other hand, we have to follow the process given by the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, the current Acharya of the Krishna Consciousness movement. Hare Krishna.
Exactly. You know, the fact of the matter is that most people are crazy. They're insane. Especially in the material world, completely out of touch with reality. They spend their time eating meat, smoking cigarettes, doing drugs, especially here in the West. It's a complete asylum of insane people. Balaramji in Australia. How crazy are the people down there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Krishna Janmastami ki jai. Glories to all of the assembled Vaishnavas. Prabhu, they're just as crazy as everywhere. The whole world is crazy. Prabhupada has said that many, many times. I wanted to thank you for a wonderful introduction to the program this morning. Very, very nice words. And also Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. After that, there's almost nothing more to say. The mind boggles. Such a beautiful explanation of these wonderful verses. I was just thinking when in the wonderful video that was accompanying Srila Prabhupada chanting, we're seeing the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada being bathed there. Such a beautiful occurrence of Prabhupada's lotus feet being bathed. And I was just thinking these two very special days, along with the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these are the three most important days on our Vaishnav calendar. Janmastami, Sri Krishna Janmastami, Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. And it's no accident that that Srila Prabhupada's appearance day is following Sri Krishna Janmastami. You know, it's like a coupling. Srila Prabhupada said, nothing happens in the material world by accident. He said, there's no accident. Everything, even the karmic situation of us as non-devotees, as devotees, everything, there is a purpose in everything there. So the wonderful appearance of Srila Prabhupada, for us, it's tomorrow. The anniversary is tomorrow. We're experiencing Janmastami today, but this is no accident. And Mahaprabhu actually said to Rupa Goswami, E Rupa Brahmanda Brahmate Kona Bhagavana Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lata Bij. This devotional, the seed of devotional service can only be received through the combined mercy of Guru and Krishna. So we have such wonderful opportunity that has been presented to us by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada also said that to come to the platform of being able to even take initiation, there's been some connection, there's been some service in past lives. So whatever we've done previously, we have to see that we have the opportunity now. This is such a wonderful opportunity being presented to us. I mean, apart from the fact of the appearance of Lord Krishna and Mahaprabhu in this 28th millennium, that is so special in itself. But to be, to have taken birth in these bodies that we have now, that have been, so much addicted to so much different material contamination and material activities, we've finally got the opportunity to rid ourselves of these. Sri Prahlad Maharaj, he stated, what is the process? As he was explaining to his demoniac father, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyamat, Manivedanam. These are the 9 processes of devotional service that we must adhere to in this process of sadhana bhakti. And beginning with hearing, chanting, remembering Vishnu, serving the lotus feet, and so on. So devotees, please, study these 9 processes of devotional service, and very soon we'll feel the anarthas falling away as we become more attached to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna. Thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity. And this is an international society we call it a global society, but thank you very much for this international society of Prabhupada disciples. Hare Krishna, all glories to Prabhupada.
Thank you very much. Vinkat Bhatta, I see that Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu has put up a purport from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:24 to 26. Could you read the section that he's posted here for everyone's benefit? Vinkat Bhatta.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Lord Vishnu is called Tri-Yuga. He appears in 3 yugas, Satya, Treta, and Dvapara. But in Kali Yuga, he does not appear. From the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, however, we understand that he appears garbed as a devotee in Kali Yuga. Lord Chaitanya is that devotee. Krishna appeared in the form of a devotee, but although he never disclosed himself, Rupa Goswami could understand his identity, for the Lord cannot hide himself from pure devotee. Rupa Goswami detected him when he offered his first obeisances to Lord Chaitanya. He knew that Lord Chaitanya was Krishna himself, and therefore offered his obeisances with the following words: I offer my respects to Krishna, who has now appeared as Lord Chaitanya. This is also confirmed in the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. In Kali Yuga, he does not directly appear, but he appears as a devotee. Vishnu, therefore, is known as Tri-Yuga.
Fantastic. And really, everyone, this is a realization of opportunity for all of us to make advancement in spiritual life, because we're in the direct line of disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to Prabhupada. And by his grace, we are all his disciples following in his footsteps. So we want to thank you for participating today in this reading and discussion of Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And we're going to go ahead. Is Ron Singh here on the call still? Dr. Ron Singh in Sacramento? Do you see him on the call?
He's there. I see his picture there, but I don't know if he's able to hear. I'm assuming. Ron, are you there? Bhakta Ron? Haribol?
Maybe he's...
Hare Krishna.
Oh, here he is.
Yes,
Here he is.
Prabhu, we're going to put up the posters. We're going to put up the posters from, thank you, Vinkat Bhatta will put them up. And I thought you could make a comment about the ecstatic program that you've designed for tomorrow and Friday, coming from Sacramento. sponsored by the Prabhupada Disciples Association, and of course your center there in Sacramento. Bhaktivedanta, could you put the posters up? We want everyone to attend tomorrow's program. What time does it start? Will it be video broadcast?
We're going to start about 7 o'clock. And,
Okay.
Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu is coming down, probably midday. So
Okay.
we're going to Ekadasi Prasadam, and then reading of Krishna book. And then I think various devotees can read from the original Krishna book. And we'll have a couple of cameras, and we will broadcast. Me and Venkat Prabhu will try to manage it to the best of our ability, just like we did the initiations. So it should be wonderfully presented. And I will have another camera that will be recording. So it's it's a wonderful celebration that we're having. So I've invited about 40 to 50 people. Let's see who comes. That's, even if one person comes, we would consider it a success. So
I'm sure you'll have a lot of people to come.
Right.
What about Friday, September September 8th? Time flies,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yes, we'll also broadcast. Maybe the devotees here can read their Vyasa Puja offerings also. We have that Venkat Prabhu is also doing the books. He's going to present the books, the Vyasa Puja book. We can also do that. And that's about it. I'm pretty much set up here. Just waiting for Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu to come down. We'll do some last minute preparations, and then we'll be online about 7 o'clock.
Okay, so that's 7 o'clock, everyone, Pacific Coast time in America. He's in Sacramento. So adjust your clock accordingly. Hopefully you can participate. And we'll be sending out the invitations, Vinkatpata, through our network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By email, we'll do that.
Yeah, thank you very much. So that is basically it. You can look forward to a wonderful week of transcendental association in the Prabhupada Disciples Association programming. Goes to the Prabhupada. We're going to move forward now with the kirtan from Prabhupada in the 60s. Please chant along and celebrate this wonderful week of spiritual bliss.
Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.